You have to set your goals. That's where the rubber meets the road. I always say that if you don't set goals, you're like a ship without a sail. You might be moving, but you're drifting. You're going wherever the wind takes you, and that's no way to live. You see, goals give you direction. They give you something to aim for, something to strive toward. And when you have a clear target in mind, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Instead, every action, every decision, every choice you make moves you closer to where you want to go. That's the power of goal setting. Most people think setting goals is something you do once a year, maybe on New Year's Eve. But let me tell you, goal setting is something you should be doing every day. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? What's one thing, just one, that, if you achieved it today, would make a difference in your life? Write it down. That's your target. Now your mind knows what to focus on.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuckner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom.
2 men, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses, 8 kids, 1 business coach radio show. It's the Thrivetime Business Coach Radio Show. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show.
That's it. Arms away.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It is the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. Now, Chup, I'm very excited about today's show because we have the senior editor for Forbes magazine on the bottom half of the show, and we have the franchisee of the year for OxyFresh on the show. Matt Klein, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great today, guys. Hope you all are doing well as well. So excited about today's show and being able to have our franchisee of the year on here to talk to you guys about OxyFresh.
Now, Matt, how did he get that award? What was the parameters that you gave that award out?
Yeah, so for Jesse and Charles, they have been in our system for a few years now. And it just comes down to their ability to utilize all the resource that we have. It is multi-tiered. So not only just them being at the top in terms of sales numbers, but also we look into things as into, how they're following the systems, how they can be a resource for other franchisees across the country. They're very involved with the home office. They are pushing the envelope on things that we can do better on at the home office as well, because it certainly is a two-way street, right? It's just not us telling franchisees what to do. It's franchisees giving us their their 2 cents into what can make them operate their businesses better day to day. And so they are very, very good at that. They've helped all sorts of different departments in OxyFresh just operate better, right? You can always get better, so they're very good at that.
Now, Jesse, I'm not sure if you have read this article that you're featured in on entrepreneur.com, but there's an article that says, this band of brothers operates 3 franchises at 18 locations across 4 states. My friend, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you doing? How are you doing today?
We're good. That article's a little dated. We've got more states and more units.
Well, update us. Update us. How many states and how many units?
About the same. With brick and mortar units, I think we're at 25 and 5 states, and then we've got 6 territories of OxyFresh.
Wow. Okay. So I guess the question that all the listeners would have out there that maybe own just one business, how do you organize your day on a daily basis there, Mr. Jesse? What are your moves? What are your systems for organizing your day?
I try to not have anything on my calendar. I try to delegate as many things as I can to someone else on my team. So I'm partly free to handle unique situations that come up, and then also just to do a lot of deep thinking and research on new ideas, new leadership concepts, or even new business concepts. So, we've got a saying that we, how was this? Oh, boy. It caught me off guard.
Oh, no problem.
Okay,
I specialize into painting our guests in the corners.
So we want to systemize the predictable so we can humanize the unpredictable.
Joe, put that on the show notes again. That's systemize
the predictable.
The predictable to what?
Systemize the predictable so you can humanize the unpredictable.
Z, you know what I want to do for a second? I just want to crawl deep inside the bowels of the man cave and just sort of systemize the predictable so you can humanize the unpredictable. Jesse, can you walk us through what that means to you?
Well, that means that if you know that something is a repetition or is pretty predictable, then you have an operating guideline and a system to follow that you can easily delegate and train other people to do. And so when things fall out of that norm, that's when it requires the human touch and the interaction to basically take care of it and get it back into a system.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because we have a lot of listeners that listen to us all across the country, hundreds of thousands of listeners. When you first started, you and your brother Charles, what was the first franchise you started with? Did you start with a Little Caesars? Did you start with a Sports Clips? Did you start with an OxyFresh?
Yeah,
where did you start?
It was a Little Caesars. We both worked in the restaurant probably 80 hours a week. We started our investment with $100,000 I had saved up and parlayed that into an SBA loan, and every single thing that we own has come from that $100,000 seed money. So the very first year, we had to work our tails off. We didn't pay ourselves very much, cut costs as best we could so we could generate enough cash flow so we could open up the second one, and so on and so on. So we're in 5 states now because of $100,000 I saved up back in 2004.
There you go. That's a great story.
So when did you know it was time to open up the next franchise? At what point did you say, okay, now it's time to open up store number 2?
Well, it was pretty simple. I mean, the unit economics of one store wasn't enough for me and Charles, my brothers, both live on to a lifestyle that we were accustomed to before we opened it up. So, I mean, store 1, as store 1 was getting built, we were already looking for locations for store number 2.
And did you guys? I mean, I don't know if you thought about that, Jesse. But you probably could have just lived off the pizza, man. I mean, you probably could have just lived there. I mean,
dough it up, baby. Dough it up.
When the moon hits your eye.
Right. So, Jesse, when did you decide it was time to look into an OxyFresh? Was it Sports Clips that came next, or was it OxyFresh?
No, actually, it was Valpak, and it was a situation where I was married at the time, and she was in the medical profession, and she was like, for me to make money, I have to see patients, and I'd rather deal with clients once in a while and get a check from them every month. And I was like, okay, well, let's look at some options. And there was limited advertising and marketing options where we had our Little Caesars. So I said, well, we can strengthen the base and add to it. So we got into Valpak to supplement some of our marketing costs and also be a new venture for us. I'm not in it anymore. It wasn't my passion, but I learned a lot. And one thing that I learned is that when I would go and try to educate other business owners on our product and our services for Valpak, I was interviewing them about their job, their margins, their patterns of client flow, employment challenges, business challenges. And I did that for a couple of years where I got an idea about how every type of business that could or would use Valpak operates. And because of that, I got into the salon business and I got into the carpet cleaning business because those were people I were talking to. And quite honestly, neither one of those categories would spend money with me very consistently in Valpak. And I realized that the majority of the people that own those types of businesses don't know how to invest in their own business. And marketing, if it's done right, is an investment. So I saw a huge opportunity where the other business owners were just not investing in their own business back into it. And someone that would definitely take the cake.
So you went from step one was Little Caesars, $100,000. You saved up $100,000. You and your brother are working 80 hours a week, living off the pizza, cutting costs. Step two, you get into Valpak. Step three, was it Sports Clips or OxyFresh?
It was Sport Clips. And it was, again, I got off the phone with a franchisee of another hair salon. And he was really rude to me on the phone. I was really angry. I called my brother up and said, let's get in the hair business. So we did our due diligence and found a brand that we really identified with. And then we started to open up salons all around where that guy had salons.
That is so good.
Hey, Jesse, I got a question for you. How did you land on Little Caesars? I mean, of all the businesses out there you can franchise, how did you pick that one to start off with?
Well, that's a great story. So at the time, my wife at the time was from Detroit, Michigan, and she had turned me on to another pizza concept called Hungry Howie's. A lot of people have never heard of it, but they are actually the 7th largest pizza chain in the United States. And we went through all their discovery day. We got awarded a franchise, and we were going to open up our first one in Carbon, Illinois, which is where I went to college and where I lived, and I had a nice high-paying job. And he's like, hey, we're not going to be able to let you open one up there right now. We had some distribution deals fall through, but we could have you open up some in Indiana or Ohio. There's even a couple for sale if you want to get going right now. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. I got the phone, and I thought at that point, at the ripe age of 27, that Carbondale, Illinois was the center of the universe, and I could never leave it. So I just got on the internet and searched pizza franchises, and I saw all these names I'd never heard of. And then I saw Little Caesars. I never had Little Caesars. I grew up in such a rural area that there was never a Little Caesars there, but I always remember the commercials. I thought those guys went out of business. So I thought to myself, they got a mascot and they got a name everyone's heard of. I'm like, that's all I really need. So let's go find out what they're about. And we got in at such an early stage that their website didn't say anything about the $5 hot and ready pizzas. It still said pizza all over it. They talked about doing things like delivery. And so we got in before the hot and ready explosion really took off. And we got in right at the right time. It was a good timing.
Good for you. What year was that?
And that happened because another franchise wasn't able to grant me a license for the town I really wanted to be in.
Yeah. And what year was that?
So 2004 is when I got awarded the franchise for Little Caesars, but our first location didn't open until March of 2005.
Okay.
So when did you decide to get involved with OxyFresh?
That was 2014. So I had been going to the Franchise Update Multi-Unit Conference for a couple years. And a couple of friends of mine that own another concept with me, like they're franchisees as well, had told me they just signed up and that they were really impressed with the company. So we spent some time talking to them. Carpet cleaning, quite frankly, was a market that we were already thinking about getting into. But we didn't know if we wanted to do a franchise or if we wanted to try doing our own thing. We've always been a little heavy towards a franchise because I've got a really high quick start, and I really just want to, you got something that works, that's great, let's do it. I don't really care about inventing something or trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm all about making that wheel
yes.
spin as fast as you can and make as much money as you can.
So with OxyFresh, can you share? I'd like to get Matt's take on this too, but I want to start with you there, Jesse. What appealed to you most about the OxyFresh franchise, and why do you feel like you've been able to be so successful with this franchise?
Well, I think they understand that, marketing, whether it be, a Valpak or, pay-per-click on Google or a Facebook ad, they've always understood the value of investing back in their business with marketing and doing it correctly and efficiently. And I don't think a lot of the competitors in that market space really focus on that as much as OxyFresh does.
So with an OxyFresh, Matt, I want to get your take on this because Jesse obviously is an outlier. He and his brother, Charles, they are the franchisee of the year in a system where there are hundreds of franchisees. What makes Jesse and Charles so special? What makes them such an asset to the brand? Why do you feel like they are because in franchising, everyone has access to the same tools. Why are they so successful?
Sure. Well, I'll take it just for me. I mean, I work at the home office where we have so many resources. I mean, I worked for OxyFresh as a franchise developer before I became a franchise, right? So I've been able to have a lot of interactions with all sorts of franchisees within the system, and everyone brings their own thing, to different conversations and to the brand. With Jesse and Charles, they are bringing even more innovation to OxyFresh. I mean, I actually use a lot of the things that they do with their business. So I use a very similar platform to how we hire technicians because they spent the time, and it seems very trivial, but they spent the time to really engage with each other and say, what would make it look really good for a technician or someone finding a job to work for us, right? It's not just about making money. It's about having a culture. It's about understanding your job roles and understanding what you're going to get when you get into OxyFresh and work for Jesse and Charles, right? And I mean, I think those little things make them really set themselves apart. They're thinking about every little detail, not just about getting employees, but making an environment that's a positive experience for those employees so they can actually want to work for you and do that. Because every franchisee I've ever talked to are worried about hiring people, right? Well, if you make the environment a happy place and room for growth, personal growth and financial growth, then people want to join your business. So they've really, taken other steps, not just with hiring, but also in terms of marketing, doing different things with commercial, being able to share those best practices with our advisory board and our corporate office. They're not just doing things and holding in their pocket. They want the brand to expand, and they've helped us with a lot of different things like that. So, kudos to them really, taking everything we've given them and expanding it and then bringing it back to us and letting us share that with the rest of the franchisees.
Jesse, I'd like to hear your take on why you've been able to make your Little Caesars franchises, your OxyFresh locations, and your sports clips so successful in terms of unit economics or profitability or size when so many people struggle to manage just one franchise. What are you doing differently during your work week than the average franchise owner?
I think our philosophy from day one has been to overdevelop every single team member in our company. So creating an environment where they can handle and do more things than what their current position requires of them has made it so we can grow pretty fast, have higher unit economics. And honestly, I don't work a whole lot. I get to travel. I've got locations. I go years in between visiting. And it's because of the infrastructure that we've created with our team, the human capital that we've invested in.
So let's say that I'm listening to you out there. I'm taking notes, and I'm going, okay, great. I'm gonna do that. What are the mechanics for doing that? When you had like one store, you had the one Little Caesars where you saved $100,000 of your own money to build the first one. You're working 80 hours a week. What were the mechanics of overdeveloping every position? Did you have weekly staff trainings? Did you personally invest time in this? Or give us the action items for the listeners out there.
Well, with the Little Caesars, with that being our first business and the pool of applicants that you get, our leadership and development was more of an osmosis approach. And if you didn't like it, you got to go try something different, new with a different company, and we hired someone new. When I got into the salon business, though, it was a different beast. Basically, I've got a limited number of people that I can hire in the geographic area because you have to invest it in a dermatology degree and then be licensed and keep your license up to date with the state that you're located in. So you have a smaller pool of people, and so you can't run through them as fast and find the personalities that mesh and are in line with you. And I learned real quick. I'm like, I had people that I couldn't get to perform, or they weren't performing, and I really didn't have an option to get rid of them. Not that they were bad employees. I mean, it's just they weren't performing where they needed to be. So I sat back and looked, and it's like, if I get rid of this person, I have an empty chair. I have less income coming in. So how do I make it so this person can do more and be more productive?
There we go.
And it was pretty easy to figure out that if you overdeveloped them, they could actually do more.
So
they were happier and they stuck around longer.
Did you have like weekly meetings with your team to train them, or how did you? What were the mechanics for overdeveloping people?
You know, as we're spanned that out over 5 states now, we do have a weekly meeting that I haven't participated in, I think, almost 2 years.
Oh, really?
Where it's done over WebEx, and all the salaried people in our organization sit on it, and they go over numbers. They talk about challenges, best practices, and it normally lasts 20 to 30 minutes, and it's every Monday. And I'm proud to say that I haven't participated in over 2 years, probably. I know it's been at least a year and a half, if not 2.
What do they talk about in this WebEx meeting?
So that's go ahead.
What do they talk about during that meeting? What kind of stuff are you guys covering on the agenda?
Well, what I did many years ago is I just created a good number of PowerPoint slides where they could put in key business indicators, and the district managers did this, and it gave them a talking point of what to do. But I talk to my district or area managers on a daily basis, not face to face, but over the phone. So I'm constantly developing them to develop leaders around them. So the templates that I created are just talking points, and we'll say, hey, your client counts are up. Why do you think that is? What's affecting that, and how do we capitalize on that more? And then there's a discussion with 20 plus people on the phone or on the WebEx meeting about what they're doing, and then other people are getting those ideas. So what I've done is pretty much created a mastermind group within my own company.
Got it.
Very nice. Hey, Jesse, you kind of touched on a little bit some of your secret power moves on hiring, and one of them I thought kind of went a little bit something where you went into the cosmetology schools and you were actually donating some time to help the people, I should say, in the interview that they're going to ultimately have. Can you go through that story?
Yeah. Well, I learned a long time ago, relationships are like bank accounts. And unfortunately, a lot of people are always walking around with an overdraft bank account as far as the relationships that they have in their life.
Kind of like our country,
so
huh?
If a cosmetologist, say that again.
I said kind of like our country, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So our cosmetology schools, if they're kind enough to allow me to come in and represent my company to everyone that is going to school there, I need to do something that goes back to the entire cosmetology community. So we started doing mock interviews, but they weren't interviews to be with sport clips. They were interviews for a salon in general. And I started teaching what to look for when they were in the interviews to see if that was a salon they really wanted to work at or not. And so, I taught them. I was like, the people that own salons, they went to cosmetology school just like you did. They didn't go to business school. They didn't go to management school. They probably don't have an MBA. They probably don't know how they really should be interviewing, and they don't really know how they should be running their business. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to hire the culture instead of develop the culture in their salon. So they're going to ask you questions that they're hurting or lacking of right now. So if they ask you things like, can you count change bag correctly? They have cash management problems. They ask you if you're going to show up to work on time. They have people not showing up to work on time and not showing up for their shifts. So they're trying to hire that culture in. And so I just let the students who are about to graduate realize you don't have to bounce around from location to location, to company to find your right fit. You can do that and zero it in much quicker if you start listening to the telltale signs of the interviewee and what they're actually telling you about their company.
That's great advice because that actually can apply in almost every genre of business. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
No,
So, so going back to the relationship thing, you have to make the deposit into that account before you can make a withdrawal. So that's what I teach all my managers with all their team members and the cosmetology community in general is like, we have to constantly be making deposits. So when we need to make a withdrawal, it's there for us to do it.
Now, guys, this is exciting news for Mr. Jesse. Jesse, you are the franchisee of the year for OxyFresh, as we stated earlier. And Z, right now, based on the trend I'm seeing right now, we had Zach O'Malley Greenberg, the senior editor for Forbes, on the show.
Yep.
We just had the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Sharon Lechter, on the show. We're getting a lot of these great folks. I think we're going to end up hitting number one on the business charts in about 3 or 4 weeks. And based on the release schedule, we might have the franchisee of the year on the number one podcast in the world. So, Jesse, here we go. You're holding court. I would like to ask you some tough questions. And then, Matt, you can sort of mediate here to tell me if I'm asking too many tough questions.
You got it.
Mr. Jesse.
Kind of like a referee?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's somebody out there who really, really, really wants to be you. They're going, gosh. And so they're saying they're sitting down with you for lunch, it's just you and them one-on-one, and they're going, I own a Little Caesars, and it's not going very well. I own an OxyFresh, and it's not going very well. And I own a Sports Clips, and it's not going very well. It's not the system. It's obviously not the company because I own the same companies that you have, and your unit economics are way beyond mine. I own a Sports Clips, but yours is just dominating. You're bringing in 2 and 3 times the revenue that I am. And anyone could look at the franchise disclosure documents and see that I'm doing a third of the revenue that you are with the same system. What am I doing wrong? Jesse, can you just give us that hard truth? What's the stuff that most people are doing wrong that you guys have? You probably learned through trial and error, but what are the things that most people are doing wrong that they just need to quit doing, the dysfunctions?
So I would say there's 2 parts to that. The first part is that they've probably allowed the standards in their company to be far lower than they really should be. Many, many times I see people change their goals or expectations in others to reflect the current habits versus moving the habits up higher to a higher level to match the goals that they have. The other thing is, in combination how you fix it, it simply is the 5 closest people in your life who you're hanging out with and the books you're reading. Those are the 2 things that are going to have the biggest impact on the trajectory of your life.
So people are one.
So
they're lowering their expectations.
Yeah, if you're not happy. They lower their expectations to meet their current habits versus changing their current habits to meet their expectations. I mean, it's a coping mechanism.
Okay, so notable quotable, Steve Jobs, who couldn't be here because he's deceased, he said, "Be a yardstick of quality. Some people aren't used to an environment where excellence is expected," which 100% echoes what you just said. So you got to raise the standard, not lower your expectations. You got to raise up the culture, not lower your expectations. That's a powerful nugget of knowledge. Now, you also just mentioned, hey, it's the books you're reading and the 5 people you spend time with. So I would like to, get into the private life of Jesse Kaiser, the franchisee of the year. What are some books? What are some books where you go, that book right there, that book, that made a big impact on me? What are some of the books that made a big impact on you, and why?
You talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Their second book was Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yeah.
And that was a book I read early in my life and probably had more impact on me than Rich Dad, Poor Dad because it allowed me to understand. So they talked about, in the first book, they talk about basically having cash flow assets or working for somebody. And the cash flow quadrant really, it talks about your time. And, when you're in the E, you're heavy time, low income. And when you're in the I quadrant, you're low time and heavy cash flow. And so that just kind of made me look at life as what do I have to do? What can I do to lessen the amount of work time and increase my income?
So employee, self-employed, the 4 steps for anybody who has not read the book. Step 1 is employee. Step 2 is self-employed.
Yep.
Step 3 is business owner. And step 4 is investor. And we just interviewed Sharon Lechter, the CPA who co-wrote the book with Kiyosaki where she explains the cash flow quadrant. So when you're saying I, you're referring to investor, B, business owner, S, self-employed, E, employee. Z, I'd like to get your take on this because you were an employee,
Yes.
and self-employed at the same time.
Yes.
How did you, Dr. Z, get out of that? And I want to go back to Jesse on this because this is a powerful thing. When you're an employee and you're also self-employed, you're doing your dual employment, so to speak. Z, talk about what that's like from your perspective, what your journey was like.
Yeah, it makes it real busy because you have to work in the business to keep it going, and then you are wanting to work on the business in your free time. So that means you can't watch the U.S. average of 5.2 hours of TV a day.
Oh, frick.
I know. You can't be on the booked face 2-point-something hours a day, whatever everybody's on it, So you have to make sacrifices, but you know that you're eventually getting to the I in this cash flow quadrant scenario. You want to get down to there. So for me, the day I hired my first doctor, that was a big thing. That was a big deal because then I could take a day or two and not have to be the employee. You see what I'm saying? And then I could keep working on my business. And now I got a little more free time. And you just kind of continue to do that. A lot of people ask me all the time, just like with you, Jesse, I own several different businesses and I don't spend a lot of time at any one of them. They're like, do you, it's kind of like the Caddyshack movie. You own a lumberyard, don't you? Because, I don't know where they are.
Right.
But, you get to the investor, you get good people, you get good systems, and then you touch them and you inspect every now and then. And, you inspect what you expect and you keep a hand on it, but you don't have to sit in there and go, I haven't done an eye exam in quite a while.
But this is where a lot of people get stuck, and I want to go back to Jesse on this.
Sure.
Is people understand the theory. They go, okay, I'm going to be an employee,
Yep.
and I'm going to save money and have 2 jobs, and I'm going to become self-employed. And people, and Z, I see that you don't do this, and Jesse, I see that you don't do this. People are greedy, and they refuse to pay well for good managers. They refuse to pay managers well. And managing people is the tough part. I mean, you'd have a mutiny out there if you didn't have great managers, Jesse. And I've heard you brag on your managers that you have at Sports Clips and brag on the managers at Little Caesars and brag on the managers at OxyFresh. Can you talk to us about the importance of investing and rewarding and paying your managers well and training your managers well? Because it just doesn't work without the managers, Jesse.
Well, I think there is a small percentage of the U.S. population that responds solely on what or how many commas are in their paycheck. And those people are called salespeople, and they have a unique ability where they can envision what they want to do with that money, and that motivates them. I think money is a determining factor for most people, but it's not the only one.
True.
So for me, for the investment, while I tried to pay well and I tried to give them opportunities where when they really perform, they really earn income, real income, it's the personal growth and development that is the investment that I'm most able to make an investment on them. And I'm seeing the gain is, it's better for me for my unit economics, but also the tenure with my employees and the quality of their personal life is much higher. So the investment, why it's part how much you pay them, it's also part how much attention you pay to them and what you do with them.
I would agree with what you're saying, and I think that this is one thing I see a lot, Z, is you'll see a small business owner with 10 employees, and they want to have time freedom, right? So they just simply, they don't hire a manager, and they just leave. They're just not there, and there's nobody in charge of that org chart. And so you guys, both of you, have decided to hire managers or people to run things. So like your auto auction is an example. If you're around Dr. Zellner for any moment of, for any, it's any extended period of time, you're going to learn about the auto auction or the optometry clinic. And you guys are going to sell like 1,000 cars every Friday at the Z66 auto auction, or 750 cars, 1,000 cars. But there's somebody who manages that business for you. I think a lot of entrepreneurs want to skip the hiring of the manager altogether. They just don't have any managers. Can you talk to Z about the importance of Monty and his role managing and operating the auto auction?
Well, I've got 3 choices here I can make, right?
Yeah, go for it.
I can hire a great manager and kick back and have a beverage of my choice and show up when I want to show up and shake hands and kiss babies and things are rocking and rolling, okay? I could step in myself, give myself another job, become an employee again, and I could manage it myself. I could step in and go, you know what, I want an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. job again. Or 3, I could not hire a manager, not be there myself, and let chaos reign.
Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. I could be like the Forbes, the 80% of businesses that are shutting down, which we hate. So those are your 3 choices, really, the way I break it down.
So now, Jesse, I want to tap into your wisdom on this, and I want to get Matt's take on this as well. Online marketing. Let's go with OxyFresh for 5,000 mega points. Boop, boop. Here we go. OxyFresh is top in the world in Google search engine results for a lot of reasons. One, the OxyFresh team and Jonathan Barnett and the leadership team have invested in the online search engine optimization technology, the strategy. They've fully committed to it. 2, it's in the National Ad Fund. So whether you like it or not, if you're an OxyFresh franchisee, you have committed to it. But as a franchisee, you have to do some things. And one of the things you have to do is you have to get objective Google reviews from your ideal and likely buyers. And this is what I have heard. This is through the rumor mill. Jonathan Barnett is always bragging on you, Jesse, Mr. OxyFresh Franchisee of the Year. He's saying that you are like the king of Google reviews. How have Google reviews impacted your business, and how do you go about getting them?
Well, we have a lot of Google reviews. We just ask for them. Simple as that. You got to provide a great service, or there's nothing to review positively about your business. Right. So you got to make sure you got that taken care of first. But I will tell you, everyone talks about Google reviews, and while I feel like that is really important, I think reviews on some other sites are just as important if you're wanting to actually translate jobs booked directly to a dollar amount that you spent with that company. So, I'm in the home improvement industry, so for me, Yelp is a good one. Angie's List, Home Advisor, Thumbtack, all these. I noticed I was booking more jobs when I got more reviews on those sites as well.
So I want to tap into
reviews in general are good.
You
got to have you got to have multiple streams of income. You got to have multiple lines of references.
I want to pick your brain about Yelp reviews. There's so many listeners who've reached out. A lot of people in the fitness business. We coach a lot of companies in the fitness business, and they'll have, let's say, 4 verified reviews, but 18 reviews that aren't quote unquote recommended by Yelp. What advice would you have for the business owner out there that has reviews from real Yelpers, but they're not showing up in Yelp? Is there a process for that you've found to be effective to get your reviews from Yelp verified or quote unquote recommended, I think is the language?
Well, I'll give the safest advice I can give anyone.
Yep.
You don't want to ask for Yelp reviews, because if that ever is found out by Yelp, they put a big banner across your business profile and says that this company solicits reviews, and so some of the reviews may not be up to our standards. Now, that's not what's happening per se with the 18 unrecommended and the 3 or 4 that are recommended.
Yep.
In that situation, Yelp thinks not everyone's equal, and that people that give more reviews on Yelp probably know what they're talking about a little bit more, and so they weight more. So when you've got those 18 reviews that are glowing reviews for your business, but they're not showing up in the review algorithm, it's probably because you're the second, first, third, or fifth business that they've ever done a review on. And the ones that are popping up typically are your heavy reviewers that are doing 20, 30 reviews a year.
Right. So you have heavy.
So my
Yelpers.
advice in the strategy is you got to get aggressive with the other marketing, get more clients, wow the heck out of them, and it'll kind of take care of itself. Because you'll get more of those heavy Yelp reviewers the more customers you do and the more customers you wow.
I think what happens here is that somebody listening, none of our listeners, but it's the friend of our listeners there, Jesse. They want to get rich quick, and they don't like the idea of wowing their customers. So, Matt, I want to get your take on this. People often think that because somebody is good at marketing, like Jesse is, or somebody is good at growing their business, like Jesse and his brother are, that they obviously don't care about quality. That's the assumption. People think that the quantity, as that goes up, the quality must go down. But if that were true, Southwest Airlines would be crashing a lot of planes. Disney World would have a lot of complaints. But in fact, Southwest Airlines has far few accidents than the average individual pilot. And, Disney World has far fewer incidents than like a small local amusement park. So the quality and the quantity are actually tied together. The higher the quality, the more the quantity. Talk to us about what Jesse and his brother do exceptionally well as it relates to providing great quality and quantity of service.
Sure, and I think you're right. I do think they do go hand in hand, and I think specifically when you're looking at a service-based company, we're in an invasive environment. We're going into someone's home. There's a lot of trust that's there, right? And we're in the carpet industry. Everyone can see their carpets, right? If you're a roofing company, you're not climbing on the roof usually. It just looks good and you assume it's done. But on a carpet, you need to see it, right? You're going to see it before and after. So, what they do exceptionally well is they start from the ground floor. It doesn't matter if you're a great marketing company, because that's only going to last so long, right? So when I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I just typed in St. Louis carpet cleaning, and they show up with 93 reviews. The next closest company's got 42. You're not going to get 92 reviews. In fact, you'll probably only get 5, and probably 4 out of 5 of those will be bad if your actual service is not good, right? So I think a lot of companies out there, they struggle with 2 things. One is training their employees on the importance of getting reviews, and Jesse's exactly right? We talk a lot about Google, but that's just kind of the ground floor for us as well. There's also things like Yelp and Shopper Approved and all these different types of things that you should be able to do, and it's building the culture. If you're confident in what you're delivering to your customers, there's no reason you shouldn't be giving them the resources to give you a review, or just doing a good job and having like Yelp take care of itself, right? So for them, it's starting at ground floor, making sure that the actual service is being done at the highest level, following that up with great communication skills between the customer to the actual technician, the technician back to the manager back to Jesse and his brother Charles, right? And then understanding the marketing on the back end. Where am I spending my money, right? Where is it going? Where am I really performing at a high level? Where am I not? And why is that actually happening? I think so many companies don't understand where their numbers are and what's happening, so they don't make any adjustments because they don't know where to look. They have every level of that taken care of, but it starts with great customer service, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. And I think they've done a very good job of that.
Well, I want to respect your time here, Jesse. Yeah, I want to get your take on that. I want to make sure I respect your time and get your take. I'm sorry if Skype has a little bit of a delay there, but hop in with your hot take.
Okay, so the time that we're in right now, I call it the baker, the butcher, and the candlestick maker 2.0. 100 years ago, you had a local community, and there was 2 butchers in your town, and everyone went to one, and the rest went to the other one. And so one owned the lion's share of the butcher business, and the other one didn't. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Okay. So when we had mass media, what could happen was you could actually out market and advertise the word of mouth. And so quality went down, customer service went down, because you could just pump money into advertising and you could keep getting new customers. With reviews, even though we're a global, it's a very small community now, because now when you get on Google and you search for St. Louis carpet cleaning, I'm in a group of people that are only looking for carpet cleaning. And so those reviews become so important. So it's like how it used to be 100 years ago. It's just digitally now.
I agree with that. And I think that one thing that you guys are doing very, very well is and there's so many things you're doing well, but one thing that Jonathan Barnett always praises you about and speaks highly of you about, you and your brother Charles, Jesse, and he says, Jesse and Charles they have an endless desire to get better. It seems like you view learning as a continual process and not an event. You seem like you buy into the Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of continual improvement. Could you talk to us about how you organize your daily schedule? What if you wake up today? What does a typical day look like for you? What time are you waking up? Walk us through those first couple hours of your day and how you get your day started right.
So typically Monday through Friday, I'm waking up at 5:20 in the morning, getting up, letting the dog out, going to the gym, working out, coming back, cooking breakfast for the kids before they go to school, send them off to school. After that, it's completely wide open. So depending on what's in my calendar, I may be having a meeting with an attorney or I may be driving to a location and teaching a leadership class, or I may just be on my laptop working on customer reviews, new marketing ideas. I'm at the point where if it's necessary for me to do it, I've got to find someone to make it so it's not necessary that I do it. And I have a lot of free time to do a lot of thinking, a lot of researching, and it also allows me, when there is a crisis, that an audible comes up, I can call it, and I can make the right decision. The biggest advice I get to anyone at a certain level, if you don't have yourself that free to do that, you're never going to be really able to grow, because you've got to be looking at the next couple things you want to do, not just what you want to do tomorrow. And so keeping my calendar open and being available to do different things, I think, is probably one of the best things I've done in the last 3 or 4 years, and that's why my company's grown so much.
Now, you also, though, have stores that are open at a set time every day. And I'm not trying to paint you into a corner or trivially or ask you questions that you're not maybe ready for, but Sports Clips every day. What time do the stores typically open? Are there different times for each store, or is there a set time they open every morning?
Set time. Typically, it's 9 a.m.
Okay, so your store's open at 9. And although you have a wide open schedule, the store's open at 9. And although you might not participate in the weekly management calls, those calls happen. So you have a rigidity to the way the businesses operate. Those schedules are very, I just want to make sure the listeners get this. Those schedules are very locked and loaded. I mean, consumers can depend on your Little Caesars. What time does a Little Caesars open? Do people do breakfast pizzas?
10:30 a.m. is when we open.
So you stick to the guidelines. You're open at a set time, but you personally have a free form schedule. So I just want to make sure the listeners get that. You personally have a schedule that's very free and open, but your stores are very rigid and they're locked in. I mean, customers can depend upon you opening at that set time. Final question for you, Jesse. If you could give one piece of advice to the hundreds of thousands of people who join us on a daily basis on our soon-to-be number one podcast in the world, my friend, what is the number one advice you'd give to all of our listeners?
I would say I would stop setting goals and start setting milestones.
Stop setting goals.
The problem with the goal.
Start setting milestones.
The problem with the goal is it's a finish line, right? So once you hit the goal, now you get stuck in this thing called the gap. You don't know what to do next. You don't know where you're going to take that momentum. If you're setting milestones, you know when you hit it, you're still moving in the right direction. You can celebrate it. But you know that there's continual growth and there's continual involvement and effort being put into it. A lot of times we set goals. Once we hit it, you see a relapse. When you set milestones, you seldom see the relapse.
What's your milestone you have right now, Jesse?
The milestone I have right now is I'm going to create another company that the goal is to have an EBITDA of a minimum of $5 million within the next 4 years.
Awesome.
A brand new company.
What category is it going to be in? Can you tell that?
Yeah, it's going to be in the bar restaurant.
Oh, cool. I've got a great when we get off the hour. I've got a great idea for one. I want to run it by you.
You guys would like each other, by the way. You and Dr. Z have very similar ethos. You guys would get along.
Yeah, I can tell. If you could go back in time to when you started up, you and your brother started up, what advice or what would you do differently? What would you tell yourself if you could get the DeLorean time machine and go back in time?
I mean, from the get-go, I think it would be totally how I view people and how I treat and speak to people. I was more of a stick than carrot leader early in my life, and have become mostly carrot, and I've thrown away the stick kind of leader.
Though sometimes you want to pull it out, though. Tell me that. Sometimes you got to go, I wish I had that stick right now.
Yeah, the sticks just to shake things loose once in a while. But if you can't lead with a carrot, then you're not really a leader, in my opinion.
You're right. Well said. Well said.
Well, I tell you what, there, Thrive Nation. If you're out there and you're saying to yourself, I want to be able to make 6 figures a year. I want to be able to have time freedom, financial freedom. Matt, is it possible to make a 6-figure income by buying an OxyFresh? How much does it cost? Give us the details.
Yeah, so we'll start with the cost. Single franchise unit, $37,900. Comes with equipment package, protected territory, about 70 jobs worth of product, plus a training out here in Denver, Colorado that I've mentioned previously. certainly able to do a six-figure income. Everything, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a progression of your ability to, follow the systems and do the things necessary to grow and grow fast. Everyone kind of grows at their own speed, and that's why we have, franchise coaches. And you can lean on other franchisees like Jesse, if that would be a resource for you. So $37,900 up front. You want to have about $25,000 in operating capital as well put aside for things like insurance and local marketing and vehicle employee costs if you're not doing the jobs in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, when we have a conversation, we'll discuss in detail what your goals are, where you want to be, and we can work backwards from there, right? And so, we have many, many franchisees operating these businesses at different levels, different ownership styles, different goals. And we can actually, really set you up to get where you need to be.
How many locations? How many locations right now? How many locations are up and operational right now, approximately?
Yeah, so we're nearing 400 right now. We're pretty close. The exact number is probably around about 380. We have several new franchisees in the process of training. This next month, we have 4 current franchisees expanding to secondary or third territories as well. So, we just want to keep the growth with good franchisees pushing the ball forward in a positive way.
Z, I'll say this. For all the listeners out there who are contemplating going to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh to learn more about buying an OxyFresh franchise, I would say I would never respect anybody who doesn't have at least 500 franchise locations. Like 380 to me is not impressive.
Not impressive
380,
at all.
not at all. But in all sincerity, that's impressive. Matt, I'm excited for you. Jesse, thank you so much. I know that the time truly is your most important asset. Thank you for hopping on here to mentor the thousands of listeners, the hundreds of thousands of listeners. I cannot appreciate and say thank you enough. You're just you're a gem. I hear about you all the time. Jonathan Barnett just thinks you're the best. Matt's always bragging on you. Chris is always bragging on you. Thank you and Charles for setting the standard there at OxyFresh as a franchisee. And Z, without any further ado, we want to end the show with a boom. Here we go. Matt, are you ready in Denver?
I am.
Jesse, are you ready in St. Louis-ish?
Absolutely.
Are you in St. Louis? Are you in St. Louis?
I am.
Okay, here we go. From Denver, St. Louis, Tulsa. 3, 2, 1, boom!
It's changed our business a thousandfold. Actually, specifically 40%. But the cool thing is we know it's just up from here. I mean, literally 11 months ago, we were talking about liquidating and closing the doors, and just one phone call and one interaction with getting some coaching, our horizon is completely different. And we're still got a lot of work to do. We're getting better every single day, but we're super excited with where we're going from here.
And for anybody out there that's thinking about scheduling a service with you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google right now. We type in Kansas City OxyFresh. This is you guys right here. Which locations is you? I want to make sure we're sending people. We have a lot of our listeners in Kansas City. Which particular locations are yours there?
We're all of those.
All of these. So you are the Kansas City area. So
Yeah.
everybody just Google search Kansas City OxyFresh.
Yep.
There
Those
you'll
are
be. Well, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're interviewing a diligent doer. So if you're out there today and you say, I feel stuck, I want to know how to start or grow a successful company, step one, it requires diligence, which means the steady application of effort over time. The steady application of effort over time. Now, today's entrepreneur happens to be a franchisee, full disclosure, of a brand called OxyFresh. OxyFresh.com is a brand that I've had the honor of working with for the past 17, almost 18 years. And these guys are the franchise owners of an OxyFresh location, or actually OxyFresh locations and territories, which can be quite a bit to handle, and they are doing a phenomenal job. Spencer, welcome onto the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Clay. Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here.
Hey, so I got to ask you, first off, we've been working with you for a while now. How long have we been working with you guys approximately?
We started in January of this year, so getting really close to a year.
And have you sold more carpet cleaning? Are you up 1% or 2%? Or is there some kind of quantifiable way you could articulate the growth percentage?
Yeah, in our first, I guess 11, 12 months, we're up 40% this first year.
Amen. And now you guys, Andrew brags on you guys all the time. So every time I hear about you guys, it's a brag session. But if people want to Google you and verify you're real, what territory can they Google to find you guys?
We're pretty much all of the Kansas City metro and surrounding areas. So some of the biggest surrounding areas of the KC proper, like Olathe, Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, Lenexa, Kansas, Lee Summit, Missouri, and there's, dozens of others. So
Now,
basically, we support the entire Kansas City metro.
Now, I want to ask you this question, and this is not a backhanded compliment, but one of my friends, he is jacked. I mean, one of the most physically fit people I've ever met in my life. And you look at him and you think to yourself, brother, you do not need a trainer. That's what you think. People actually say that to him. But he has a trainer. And you ask him, why do you have a trainer? And he says, well, I have a trainer, and that's why I look like I do. I have 5 sessions a week. I said, so you, just to be clear, you're spending $500 a week for a personal trainer. He says, well, it's $100 a session. I do 5 a week. And he said, I find that when I go, something happens that I'm paying money for someone to hold me accountable. That's part of it. The second is my trainer pushes me beyond what I would be without his pushing. And he said the third is my trainer knows what to do, has the tools, and so he said he takes the guesswork out of it. And again, this is one of the most physically fit people I've ever met, and he just is locked in with a trainer. I want to get your thoughts on that as far as business coaching and having somebody to show you the way, maybe push you a little bit, track the numbers. What kind of impact has that made on your business?
It was huge. We started the business. We ran it for probably about 2 years prior to getting a coach. And we know all of the things to do because, fun fact, I bought into the business because I was so excited to start a business because of listening to your podcast for probably at least a year before I ended up pulling the trigger. So I know all the systems, I know the processes, I know what we're supposed to do. But when it came down to getting it done and actually doing it every single day, we were stalling. And I'm not gonna lie, we were getting ready to close the doors, and I was like, we got to make one last ditch effort at this, and let's get a coach hired. And we knew immediately who to hire, and if they'll have us. And since then, we've been off to the races and growing.
Now, one of the things about success, I happen to write books. So let me just show the listeners an example. I write books. So this is a book I wrote. Actually, my wife wrote this book. This is my wife's book called Now I See. I did not write this book. This is my wife's book. I did edit this book. This book, Boom, is a book that I wrote. So I wrote Boom. My wife wrote Now I See. And this is a book that I did not write, but look what I did to it. This is Robert Kiyosaki's book, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series. This is the Rich Dad Guide to Investing. And Robert Kiyosaki's now gotten to he's become a friend, and he and Eric Trump are coming to speak at our business conference in March. And when I remember reading Robert's book, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this book is really well done. And when I started meeting people like Robert Kiyosaki or Robert Greene or Guy Kawasaki, I always asked these guys, I would say, how did you write the book? And they would say, well, step 1 is you write it. And then step 2 is you maniacally edit it. And it's not like it's a complicated process, but you just have to go back and edit it every day. It's not like it's a big complicated thing. It's just you have to read your own book and read it to find the errors. And when you think you found all the errors, you read it again. And I'm going, so your entire process consists of writing the book and then reading it till you don't find any errors. They go, yeah. And then I have an editor read it and find errors, and then they send it back to me, and I said, well, what do you do next? They said, I read it and I find errors. And I said, what happens next? They're like, give it back to my editor. And I'm going, there's no way. I mean, how many times do you do this? And I started hearing from the world's top, we're talking the John Maxwell, we're talking Mark Manson, the author of Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, Robert Greene, we're talking about the world's best-selling authors. They say, I go back and forth, usually 24 times before I get it perfect. And I think that's a little bit of the madness of growing a successful company. It's knowing what to do and then doing it consistently. Can you talk about that, about just step 1, knowing what to do, but then step 2, doing it over and over and over?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. It's not rocket science. The trick is in the discipline. But I'll even add one in there between those 2 steps, which is knowing what to do and then doing it, and stop making excuses. Even us, when we get on the call with Andrew, it's like Andrew will say, well, did you get your X amount of Google reviews? Did you get your X amount of images loaded? And we'll say, well, we got some, but, and then we did this, but, and we'll come up with the excuses. And then pretty quickly you can understand, hey, you're just making a bunch of excuses. It's time to get stuff done. So yeah, it's the hard part is the discipline. Back to your analogy on working out and getting jacked. Everybody knows what to do, everybody, maybe not everybody knows what to do, but most people know what to do to get jacked. Most people know what to do to make money. It's just a matter, you got to go do it. And then obviously there's a lot of tricks you can learn from people who've been doing it a long time. So you should always educate yourself. But I'm with you. It's all about the diligent doing.
Now, in part two of today's show, so after this portion of the show, on part two, we're going to sit down and interview Dr. Sean Baker. And someone says, who's that? He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's actually one of the best-selling authors in America right now. So anybody can go to Amazon.com. You type in carnivore diet, this guy, carnivore diet. This is I'm telling you, folks, you are going to love part two of today's show. Two of our conference attendees two of my clients came to a conference, and at the conference we had Tim Tebow was here. We also brought in Dr. Sean Baker, and these two guys, they locked in and they decided to implement the carnivore diet for 6 months. This is a true story. This is going to blow your mind. And one of the listeners lost 92 pounds in 6 months by only eating meat. His cholesterol's gone down. It's unbelievable. The other guy got a little bit of a head start. He lost 81 pounds. And then you're going to hear their stories on part two of today's show. And you say, well, what do you do? And they go, I only eat meat. It's unbelievable, the simplicity. And I believe that's that way with growing a company. It's not super complicated, but it's a simple plan, and you have to do the plan over and over. Just like working out, you got to get those biceps sore if you're going to experience growth. So let me dial into the stuff you're doing. Step one, and maybe you don't agree, feel free to interrupt me, but one is you have to wow the customer. You guys at OxyFresh, I know you guys do this. Andrew tells me you guys do this. When somebody Googles Kansas City carpet cleaning, and I'll pull this up on the screen here. When somebody Googles Kansas City carpet cleaning, you guys come up top in the search results, but you have to wow those customers. I mean, you guys are obsessed with wowing your customers. So what do you say to somebody out there that's mailing it in, their carpet techs or their business of some kind? Just, it doesn't wow. It doesn't even deliver. They just do the minimum effort. What do you say to somebody that for whatever reason just can't seem to get motivated to wow the customer?
I would say you're probably not going to make it very long. We always strive to get like 3 wows per interaction with the customer, and it can look several different ways. Maybe we're calling ahead and saying we're stopping by the Quick Trip or Starbucks on our way. Do you want anything? Some people might get a little weird about that. Or there's a package out, we'll bring it up. Or it's even just showing that you care. I mean, we have so many service industries out here that get the technician, they come, and it's like they're just here to collect a paycheck, and they're going to go through the motions. But if you can get your technicians or your employees in ownership too, to really show the customer that you genuinely care, then you don't even need all that extra stuff to get the 3 wows with each interaction. It's little things like calling them the night before and actually caring about what kind of situation they have when you walk into their home, because they're letting you into the privacy of their home, and they need to know that they can trust you. So just gaining that trust and that rapport even before we show up, that's the first wow. And then the others are easy, like, oh, do you need help moving this piece of furniture while we're in here? Just doing little stuff like that. You'll see, we'll even do things like we'll get like Hot Wheel toys or treats for the dogs, and we don't do that all the time, but a lot of times we'll do little things like that and leave them for the customer. Kind of a no questions asked redo policy. You don't like what we did within a certain amount of time, we'll come back and make it right, and we won't stop coming back until it is right. Just a lot of things like that. And I think if you don't do that to differentiate yourself from your competitors, you're probably not going to last very long. And if you are lasting, you're probably just lasting and not thriving.
Now, for anybody out there who's curious about how I voted or who I voted for, I happen to be a libertarian, which means every year I go, well, there's no libertarians to choose from. And so I tend to vote Republican. But I want to share with you a story. I was staying at a hotel years ago, and the bellman there, This guy looked exactly like Barack Obama. And I said, do people ever tell you that you look like, he goes, Obama? I said, yeah. He's like, yeah, people call me Obama. I said, it's interesting. He said, sir, don't hold it against me. If you're not an Obama fan, if you are an Obama fan, that's okay too. But sir, I want to make sure I take your bags up to your room. This is the bellman at this hotel in Vegas. He says, I want to make sure I take your bags up to your room. You have a great experience. What room are you in, sir? I tell him the number. He goes up there, takes my bags. He says, sir, I really do appreciate you. True story. This is true story. Crazy story. And he hands me a $5 bill because I'm tipping him. He hands me a $5 bill, and on the bill is his phone number. And he said, we got a lot of bellmen. I don't know that any of them have ever tipped you, but I'm giving you a tip. Call me. And I'm like, whoa. See, that was like a next level, like, wow. So I said, what now? I mean, I was amazed. He said, a lot of bellmen probably won't give you a tip, but I'm going to give you a tip. And he hands me $5. This is the number to call if you need anything. And sir, I'll be back in 5 minutes with guides, basically of things to do in Las Vegas. Are you looking to take the lady on a dinner date? Are you going to go see a show? Do you want to go to a casino? Or are you looking to sightsee? What are you looking to do, sir? And I said, I'm looking just to go to take my wife to dinner. He said, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Dude goes down the elevator, knocks on the door. And he knocks on the door. I said, hello. He goes, it's Obama, sir. Hope and change. I hope you have a great stay. Sir, here's some change. He gives me another $1. Hey, if you need a tip, this is my phone number. I'm like, what is going on? So he's out $6. And already I remember him. I never forget him because he looks like Obama. He says, hope and change, gave me the change, gave me a tip. And so the next morning, I wake up every morning methodically at 3 a.m. So I set my alarm. My alarm goes off in the hotel, 3 a.m. Vegas time. Go down to the lobby, and dude is there. And I'm like, this is crazy. He's the only bellman who seems to be operational. There's a couple guys that have to work the shift, but this guy is moving. And he's got people looking for him in the lobby. People are going, hey, is Obama here? And I'm like, hey, Obama. True story. I said, Obama, dude, you are killing the game. I was there for about 4 days, and I noticed people were waiting for him to get their luggage. They were going, hey, is Obama here? And they were the other bellmen were looking for jobs, looking for work. This guy has people waiting for him. So I said, sir, can I ask you, where are you getting this mindset? What's going on with you? He said, sir, if I can over-deliver, I think it's how it goes. If I can over-deliver, I'll get overpaid. And I'm paying my way through medical school. And so I'm gonna pay my way through college. I'm gonna over-deliver. And then I'm gonna get overpaid. And I just remember I had a desire deep within me to tip the man hundreds of dollars. And I did. And I did. And I was thinking to myself, that guy really ignited the law of reciprocity that Napoleon Hill talked about. He wowed every customer. I watched that guy and I'm thinking he had the same cart, the same uniform, the same name tag. And he took what little tools he had. He tipped the customer. He came up with a memorable marketing slogan. Hey, I look like Obama. He embraced the whole hope and change thing. And at the end, we're checking out. I said, man, it's been great, Obama, getting to know you, man. You're great. He says, honestly, man, I vote conservative, but got to go with it. And it's just this whole, like, it was like the ultimate punchline. And I'm saying that because there's somebody out there, you're saying, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of tools. And I'm telling you, if the bellman can do it, if OxyFresh can do it, you can do it. Now, the second thing you guys are doing is you have a daily huddle with your team. So every single day, you guys do your best to huddle with your team. Obviously, there's holidays that come up, but I mean, you're huddling with the team and you're saying, guys, this is what needs to be done today. This is what we did yesterday. And you're looking at the numbers, the key performance indicators. Talk to the listeners about the daily huddle and why it's so important for you to do that daily huddle to make your OxyFresh super successful.
Oh, it's huge because you got to keep it really simple for your employees. And if you just give them a long list of laundry items to do at your weekly staff meeting, or if you were us a year ago, or your never staff meeting, or your text to take that, which is bad. Don't do that. Do the staff meeting. They can't keep track of everything they got to do. So if you have the daily huddle, number one, it keeps all of them accountable. So they're going to show up. And if they don't show up to the daily huddle, well, now they're probably going to be late to their first appointment. So we got to start calling and figuring out plans for that. And then we can just plan ahead with the daily huddle and manage all the daily fires that would have come up, but we've handled them right then and there. We do it every single morning at 7:45. Doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the situation. We do it unless we're closed for Christmas, for example. And we've had to pivot. We fought back for a while because it's like, well, we got texts coming from all over the metro, and the metro is large. How are we going to do a daily huddle at one spot? So we'll do a daily huddle in person sometimes, but a lot of times we just do it virtually via Google Meet, and we get all the guys on one call, and we all talk about what we need to talk about, and we get the day started right every single day at 7:45.
Next thing you're doing again. So step 1, wow every customer. Step 2, that daily recurring huddle. Step 3, you're never done recruiting. Never done recruiting. And I don't know why this is a controversial concept. So I'm going to give some stats on the screen here so people can get mad at the stats and not mad at me, because I'm not the one making up the stats here. Okay, so here we go. By the way, Napoleon Hill, best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich. I named my son after Napoleon Hill. He once said, you can start right where you stand by applying the habit of going the extra mile, by rendering more service and better service than you are now being paid for. That's something everybody can do right now. But, you know, you look at this, the statistics, 85% of employees today, the 85% of employees, they say, yep, I do lie on my resume. What? 85% of employees, according to Inc. magazine, are during their own surveys are going, yep, I do lie on my resumes. 85%. Now, Forbes, which is much more optimistic, Forbes is saying, no, 70% are lying. Okay, whatever. Now, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they're saying that 75% of employees steal. 75% of employees steal from the workplace. So as an example, I know somebody, I'll be very vague, that years ago for Christmas, they came to me and they said, Clay, can I come to your Christmas party? I hear it's legendary. I said, oh, you can come. And they're trying to impress me. They know me. They're not a client of mine. They're family. And they show up with all these bottles of miniature alcohol, tons of it. And I'm going, what are you doing? And they go, well, I work in the airline industry, and when no one's looking, I take quite a bit, you know. And I'm going, what? They go, well, per flight, you're allowed to have up to one complimentary beverage per first class person. So if they don't take them, I just take them. And so I've accumulated thousands. And I'm going, so you've accumulated thousands of bottles. They go, oh yeah. And check this out. And they have these earbuds, these one-time wearing headphones. They've got these for days. Yeah. They've got all these snacks they've stolen, they brought to the party. And I'm going, you're probably bringing in, you know, $2-3 grand of stolen stuff from the workplace. And I am shocked that entrepreneurs have this blind faith that they're not going to be robbed, that the employees aren't going to steal, that the employees aren't going to fire themselves, that the employees aren't going to get a divorce and move out of town, that the employees aren't going to get another job, that the employees aren't going to get bored and move on, that the employees aren't going to, their wife gets pregnant, now they want to stay home and help raise the kid. I mean, I don't understand why it is that people think that you can never stop recruiting. But you guys have clearly embraced the idea of ongoing, never-ending recruiting. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I remember listening to your podcast, I don't know, 4 years ago, and you bring this topic up, and I thought to myself, there's no way people are this bad. There's no way. So, but immediately we get into the business, and we have stories for days. Stealing, not showing up, weird excuses, just the craziest stories for days. I'm sure every business owner has it. And we were kind of stalled on doing the group interview, you know, as frequently as we do now. I would say we probably still don't do it as much as Andrew wants us to, but we do it on average maybe every 2 weeks, at a minimum every month. And because we have a good group of core guys right now. But it's so important because, especially in our business, it's not like we're getting 2-week notices. If someone wants to leave, they're just leaving, or they may give you the kindness of giving you a call that morning, but typically it's just they don't show up, or maybe you catch a technician who is stealing or doing some shady things, and you have to let them go on the spot. I think the biggest thing is if you don't have constant candidates coming in, you can become hostage of your employees. And we were subject to this. We became hostages of our employees. And then the group interview solved that immediately. And we were able to automate the process pretty easily with Indeed. So all I got to do is make a post, and then a week later, 30 people show up to our office, and we can just rock and roll with our outline, our script, everything we want to talk about. But we got to systemize it, and we do it about every 2 weeks, and it's key to our success.
Now, again, I want to respect your time, but I also want to get into all 7 of these things. I mean, there's so many things you're doing well, but I want to hit on these 7. Sure. So again, step 1, folks, they're over-delivering. They're wowing customers. If you're watching today's show, if you own a restaurant, a dentistry, years ago, I worked with a skincare company, a dermatologist, and I said, you have to wow your customer with your sights, your sounds, your smells, sights, sounds, smells, the employees, sights, sounds, smells, the employees, and the overall experience. And the dermatologist said to me, he goes, it's occurred to me we have no music in my office.
Mm-hmm.
The office looks bad, so the visuals are bad. There's no music. I think my front desk lady is kind of sarcastic and mean. What were the steps? I said sights, sounds, smells. He's like, yeah, I know the bathrooms smell good. What else? And so there was no intentionality to it. So we teamed up with this dermatologist, true story. And I said, well, hey, what is something that we could do every day? He decided to bring in a catering truck or a catering group that would deliver fresh kind of Panera bread kind of style food every day. So when you're in the lobby waiting for your appointment, you have fresh coffee, you have light fruit, you have a few wraps, those kind of things. He got an overhead playlist we helped him develop. He repainted his office. He went with kind of a modern rustic front desk. And anyway, he was very intentional. And his customers loved it. And they left him raving reviews. And it was powerful, just a complete turnaround. So if you're watching today's show, wow your customer. Step 2, you got to hold that daily huddle. Step 3, never stop recruiting. Never stop recruiting. Step 4, you got to have a recurring weekly staff meeting. Weekly, what? Every week, if you're the owner of the company, you have to have a meeting with yourself or a coach or somebody to look at the numbers and ask yourself, are you drifting into dystopia or are you moving ahead? Next, you have to implement a tracking sheet. Most people don't track. And I'll tell you this, where you don't track, you will slack. You must measure what you treasure. Can you talk about the importance of using a daily tracking sheet or a weekly tracking sheet to track your actual numbers?
Yeah, it's super important because you can see it all in one spot. That's something Andrew helped us with right away, and it was extremely valuable. If you don't have it all in one spot, it's hard to gather it all and make analysis and do that. So, and if you're not tracking it, then what are you doing? I think it's very important to do that. So we have all of our it's pretty and you keep it simple. We have money in, money out, how many Google reviews we've gotten, and maybe some stuff on ad spend and other things, but money in, money out. And then you can start to see trends. And then as you see the trends, you can start to change your activities. One trend we had that Andrew got on us today, our Google review counts were low relative to the last few weeks. So he said, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? If we weren't tracking it, we wouldn't have been like, hey, it's time to get back on our Google reviews.
And just to be clear, I don't want to ever exaggerate on this show. I'll be very clear and very measured and accurate in how I speak. I believe you're up 40% in less than a year. Is that an accurate statement?
That's correct.
It's mind-boggling. Okay,
yeah.
So next is that you want to get, this is step 6 here. You want to gather objective reviews from real customers. You have to do it. And I think somebody says, well, I'm just going to allow the customers to leave me a review if they feel like it. I'm telling you, folks, I took my son to Margaritaville the other day. It was a restaurant that was nearby, the Jimmy Buffett theme, Margaritaville. And I'm walking out of the restaurant and the front desk lady, she said, sir, did you have a good experience? I said, yes, I did. She said, could you leave us an objective review? I said, absolutely. Would I have done it if she didn't ask me? I'd say no. What? You're a hypocrite. I'm a busy guy, right? We're busy people. Everybody watching this, you're busy. I was thinking about my son, his 17-year-old self. I was thinking about my 20-year-old daughter. I was thinking about Christmas gifts for my wife. I was trying to figure out where my valet vehicle was parked, all those things. Last thing I was thinking about was, take a moment, leave a review about the steak I ordered. But you know what? She asked for a review, so I did. Could you encourage anybody out there who just for whatever reason has some sort of mental block about asking for objective Google reviews from real customers?
It is the lifeblood of the business for us, especially. I mean, second only to delivering an outstanding service. The second most important thing is getting Google reviews so that other people in the community can know how good we are to work with. It's pure head trash. You got to get past the head trash. People do not mind leaving the review. It's just you got to get them to do it. And if you don't do it before you leave the home, you're not going to get it. I'm a business owner. I know how much getting Google reviews has grown our business. And still, when I get service, if they don't have me leave the review before they leave, I don't do it. It's not because I don't want to. It's because we're busy. So you got to get it before you leave the house.
Final 2 points, gathering objective video reviews from real customers. You do gather objective video reviews from real customers. That's where a customer you've wowed, you say, would it be okay if I gathered an objective video review, just got your feedback? Why are video reviews so powerful?
Number one, I think I'm not super familiar with the algorithm, but I think video reviews jump to the top of your reviews. And then, so that's awesome. When someone's willing to talk about your product or your service, it's going to get jumped to the top on the review list on Google Maps. But also, if someone, like if I'm reviewing a service or a company, I look at the reviews and I see someone believed in that product or service enough to put their face on camera on the internet for the whole world to see, then they must really believe in that product or service. So I've made the decision to use that product or service before I've even called them to get a quote. And that's kind of what we want our customers to do too.
So final, let's say 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I don't want you to feel time pressure, but the final 30 seconds we have here are 60 seconds. How would you describe the impact that business coaching has made on your business, AKA your life?
Yeah, it's changed our business a thousandfold. Actually, specifically 40%. But the cool thing is we know it's just up from here. I mean, literally 11 months ago, we were talking about liquidating and closing the doors, and just one phone call and one interaction with getting some coaching, our horizon is completely different, and we're still got a lot of work to do. We're getting better every single day, but we're super excited with where we're going from here.
And for anybody out there that's thinking about scheduling a service with you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google right now. We type in Kansas City OxyFresh. This is you guys right here. Which locations is you? I want to make sure we're sending people. We have a lot of our listeners in Kansas City. Which particular locations are yours there?
We're all of those.
All of these. So you are the Kansas City area. So
Yeah.
everybody just Google search Kansas City OxyFresh.
Yeah.
There
Those
you'll
are still
be.
ours.
You can also search for Kansas City carpet cleaning, I believe, and you guys will pop right up in the conversation. And you guys are, again, OxyFresh is the brand OXI Fresh. And what are the markets you service there? You're in Olathe, is that right?
Yeah, the whole Kansas City metro essentially, which is a lot of the surrounding areas are Olathe, Overland Park, Lenex. Overland Park is probably our biggest market, and you can see there's still quite a bit of competition that we have to deal with. But just by doing the coaching and getting those Google reviews, I think we've gotten 1,000 reviews this year alone. I mean, we've been able to obviously increase our business 40%. So there's a lot of market share to go get. You just got to keep doing the same thing every single day and be disciplined, and it is working. So.
What do you say to somebody who's going to thrivetimeshow.com right now? They're thinking about coming to see, Robert Kiyosaki, Eric Trump, or coming to one of our workshops, or they're thinking about scheduling a free 13-point assessment to see if they're a good fit for the business growth consulting. What would you say to somebody thinking about taking some action?
Oh, you got to do it. I mean, what is your hesitancy? It's normal to get the assessment. I think that's free. So why not get some free advice from Clay and the team, first of all, and then get to the business conference. I'm going to be there. I just tried to get my tickets today, so I'm going to figure out if I want VIP or not. I want to sit on the new deck. But I'm going to be there.
Dude,
yeah.
That is going to be, I'm telling you, that's going to, now this is a real story. I don't want to interrupt you, but Eric Trump and I have gotten to be friends, and he said, hey, I would like to come to your conference. So he'll be here, Robert Kiyosaki. So we are, I mean, I'm not kidding, folks. Every single seat will be sold. And then we have this big, I'm just like, right now, we are very intentional about who we sell tickets to. So there's certain people I don't sell tickets to. It's just filled with entrepreneurs. Okay. So people that are actually entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, people that actually are, they're not just there to gawk, they're actually doers. And so I told my wife, I said, we might have to add on a second deck. So we got a quote to add on a second deck for additional seating. And we already have pre-sold some of those. So I said, well, we got to do a third deck. So we're looking to add the second and third decks before the event. So it's going to be awesome.
What you're saying is I might be out. I may not be in.
Well, you're a client, so Andrew will figure out a way to get you. I'm telling you, it is going to be packed.
I'll sit at his desk.
That seems very fair.
To answer your question, we did come to one conference, and it was mind blowing. Even someone who's listened to your podcast and read a couple of your books, there's always something you get from every single speaker, and it's not just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. There's a little bit of motivational, but a lot of it is action oriented, and that's what I really enjoy. And I took my business partner, and it's funny we joke about this because he's much more of the operations guy, and I'm much more of the sales and behind the scenes kind of guy. And I had to basically drag him to that conference. But after he left that conference, he was a whole different human, and his outlook on the business was 100% changed. And what I'm saying is, if that could do that to the type of person that I run our business with, then I know that everybody is going to get something out of that conference.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas, and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement.
Okay, Aaron Antis, September 25th and 26th. Guess who's coming back to Tulsa? I will give you a hint. His first name is Eric, and his last name is Trump. Whoa. And his father is the 47th president of these United States. Yes, Eric Trump is joining us once again here September 25th and 26th in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. But Eric Trump is bringing friends. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Alina Haba will be joining Eric Trump right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Amanda Grace will be in the place. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be here in T-Town in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Julie Green will be on the scene. Mel K will be here to say hey. Dave Scarlett from the His Glory team will be here. It's going to be a blasty blast right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you want to start or grow a super successful company, if you want to make your wallet great again or make your wallet great for the first time, if you want to learn marketing, systems, scaling, human resources, accounting, social media, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and more, get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. People don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, he needed a competent man to run and execute his business plans. Showtime! So the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint. Right. I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last, pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that, is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what? We should probably add on.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. and you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
You know, I should write that down and I can do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money. Just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I have been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
For the last 5, when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Whoa. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
a storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Thomas Crossan, owner and founder of Full Package Media in Dallas, Texas. I've been a coaching client with Clay Clark since the beginning of our business. We started about a year ago, August of last year. I had no clients, no idea what we were doing, no clue really what was going on. And now we've grown to where we've got 6 photographers, we've got office space here. I have an admin, sales person that works for us full time, developing an online system, and a lot of that growth we attribute to Clay helping us. And there's so many things that, his stuff is not revolutionary. It's not this crazy walk on hot coals and all this stuff. It's just real stuff.
It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. You think that's going to change your life? I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. It is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right. Really. So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue, maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.